In the service industry, one must focus always on the quality of the work, the turnaround time, and they need to be professional in everything that you do. We set out to do exactly that, and it has worked out for us.
And most certainly, has that been the philosophy that you've sort of carried through the entire time?
Yes, absolutely. Because clients is about, when they come to you because they have an issue. They want it resolved well, first time, and resolved with absolute trust and absolute professionalism. So once you realize that, you then find the solution to be able to grow a practice.
What have been the biggest hindrances then, or deterrents, or major factors that have sort of put a damper on your growth prospects in East Africa?
I think the biggest one has been the tradition. For a long time, the leading law firms in Kenya were obviously the ones that had the colonial root. They were founded over 100 years ago. And for the very big commercial transactions, whenever a client wanted to get a lawyer, those are the only firms that they used to know about. So when we set ourselves to be a competitor of those law firms, it was very difficult to penetrate because people were asking, where are these people coming from? And we had to prove ourselves many, many times. Every time there was doubt that we can be able to deliver, and we had to keep proving ourselves. That was the greatest hindrance. It still remains a challenge from time to time, especially for the traditional people, for the traditional companies that are trying to set up business in Kenya, and whose first reference point is to go to those traditional firms with what one would call colonial roots.
All right. And have you found that the progress of sort of sharing knowledge and sharing that information within either the East African bloc and Africa as a whole has vastly grown?
Yeah, you see, what has happened is that for us, we realized that for us to be able to continue competing and for us to be able to place ourselves in the right footing, we had to show that we are not only local, but we have connections, we have contacts, we have a pool of knowledge, outside the law firm as it was being seen in the Kenyan context, and that we could be able to talk to South Africa, to UK, to US, and to the other countries. That pool of knowledge, the knowledge management, the training, the secondment, and the fact that the market now knows that we are not just the local firm, we have been engaged by a global firm, has helped to tilt the balance, in our favor.
You spoke about the more traditional sort of clients as well, who have opted for a more traditional based law firm. How have you taken that to appeal more? You've got the global firm backing, and yet you're still sort of natural within your habitat. How have you taken all of that and ensured that you appeal still to the client base in Kenya and East Africa?
You see, the traditional base that I was talking about is where there are those law firms which started 100 years ago. Our law firm started about 25 years ago. Now, that tradition of giving work to those law firms continued. We came in and were able to penetrate the corporate commercial sector, which is a big sector. Now, then we had this relationship with DLA Piper, part of which was because they saw that as a local indigenous law firm, we were growing on our own. Now, we partner with them. It strengthens our positions in the market and does not make us lose any of the clients, because now the traditional firms, which were not very sure that we could provide to them the expertise they required, with now the coming in of DLA Piper, that gives them a lot more confidence.
And now, talk to us. I mean, you've said that there's a lot more interest in that East African bloc, and they've obviously growing in legal complexities. That has grown immensely. How important is it to maintain a high standard of knowledge and legal know-how, so to speak?
Transactions are complex. The multinationals who are coming into East Africa are used to legal solutions being given a particular way, with all the complexity that you can imagine. When they come to some parts of Africa, they don't find that. Now, in East Africa, we are able to respond to it. we are able to offer them the solutions which they are used in the style and in the standards that they are used to. And that is very refreshing for them.